Today's video is on multiplying rational numbers. Unlike adding and subtracting fractions, when we multiply fractions, we don't need to have the same denominators. All we need to do is multiply the numerators with the numerator and the denominator with the other denominator. It's really easy. So we have 2 times 3 gives you 6 as the numerator, and 5 times 7 equals 35 for our denominator. There will be times when the fractions we multiply together should be simplified first. It's really important that we remember this rule. Always try to simplify before you multiply. Simplify, remember, means to find the highest common factor of a numerator and a denominator and divide both numbers by that common factor. Here is our first example. We have 6 over 11 times 13 over 72. So remember, when we're multiplying fractions, that we're looking for a way to simplify. So what we're looking for is the highest common factor between our two numbers. So it's important to note that 6 and 72 have a highest common factor of 6. So what we can do is divide this 6 here by 6 and this 72 by 6 as well. So 6 divided by 6 gives us 1, and here we've got a little mistake. 72 divided by 6 gives us 12. Now we multiply our numerators together, so we have 1 times 13 gives us 13, and 11 times 12 gives us 132. And that's the solution to our multiplication. Your working out could also look like this. So if we start again, showing you the alternative. So once we have identified our highest common factor of 6, we can simply say that 6 goes into 6 once and into 72 12 times. And now we can just straight away do our multiplication. 1 times 13 is 13 as our numerator, and 11 times 12 is 132 as our denominator. So that's a more simplified way to show your working out. Here we have our second example. This example is worded a little bit differently to the previous one. This one says find 3/8 of 16. Now it's important to know that of is another word to mean times or multiply, and remember that we can represent 16 as 16 wholes, so we can say that that is 16 over 1 as a fraction. So now we have this new question here that says 3/8 times 16 over 1. And we work in a similar way to what we were doing before. We want to be searching for a common factor. So here we've said our highest common factor between 8 and 16 is 8. So 8 goes into 8 once and 8 goes into 16 twice. So now when we're multiplying our numerators together, we have 3 times 2, which gives us 6. And our denominators is 1 times 1, which is 1. So now we have 6 over 1, and we simplify that to say 6, which really means 6 wholes. Here is our third example. 12 over 16 times 21 over 35. This is a really good example because it shows us that sometimes we'll need to do more than one step of simplifying before we multiply. In the previous two examples, we were simplifying our numbers on a diagonal. With fractions, you can also simplify fractions from top to bottom. What that means is that we can simplify and find a highest common factor between 12 and 16. This technique of knowing which ways you can simplify is called the bow tie. What the bow tie shows us is that you can't simplify 12 and 21. You can't look for a highest common factor between those two numbers. We're only looking on the diagonal or a highest common factor between the numerator and the denominator of the same fraction. So first of all, we're going to find a highest common factor between 12 and 16. Our highest common factor between 12 and 16 is 4. So 4 goes into 12 3 times and into 16 4 times. If we look at our second fraction, we can find a highest common factor between 21 and 35 of 7. So 7 goes into 21 3 times, and 7 goes into 35 5 times. So now if we're to multiply across our numerators, we have 3 times 3, and across our denominators is 4 times 5. So the solution now to our problem is 9 over 20. And you can check that you've simplified properly by making sure that there isn't any common factors left between 9 and 20, which there isn't, so we have simplified our fraction as fully as possible.